Aalap and Rahul, welcome to Adgully special session, special interaction today. And this is an opportunity to get to know the minds of Aalap, who set up together, and Rahul, you joined him sometime later, and then you joined as a co-founder there and lending to the creative function there. And so, what sets together apart? Why did you set up together? The kind of work that you are doing and plan to do in the future, the roadmap that you have drawn up for yourself, and of course, the Cannes wins, and your take on the current state of Indian advertising, creativity, and a whole lot of it. It's going to be a very wide-ranging kind of an interview. We are not going to stick to any kind of an agenda over here. So first and foremost, Alap, why don't you introduce yourself very briefly and in a
Yeah.
very different, interesting kind of a way, not like reading like a biodata?
So I think I'm a copywriter and always been a network guy, never been outside the network. And I think starting together with Rahul and the team that we have here is one of the most fulfilling experiences that I've had in my entire working career. Um, the life outside a network is like the wild wild west. थोड़ा सा it's थोड़ा है मतलब it's like थोड़ा सा random होता है. Network is very predictable, but
Mhm.
there is so for the first time in my life I am experiencing anxiety and joy at the same time, and I think it's a weird mix. Never had that before. So I think as a co-founder, I'm happy with that, and that's what my introduction is, honestly. Yeah.
Right. What about you, Rahul?
Uh, so I love sales.
Hmm.
At the heart or at the core, I enjoy the rush of sales, numbers, meeting targets, and so it's not about the money, it's about the joy of accomplishing something which happens on a regular basis. So while Alap explained that as anxiety and joy at the same time, for me it is start of the month. I'm like super happy and very excited, very optimistic. Towards the end of the month, it becomes, Acha, how do I now pay for everything as a company? Where do I get the money from? How do I manage the cash positions? So both is, I mean, so it gives you a kind of purpose, sense of purpose to some extent. Ki, acha, ye, we need to do this together for together. So that's the kind of feeling that we have. And along with sales, I am also good at media. I mean, I enjoy how uh, consumers interact with content, where they interact with content, and how it has also evolved. So, media is another area which I keenly look at. Uh, then obviously the PNL, and I've been doing PNL for in whatever form since 2011, because that's when I was first given that responsibility. So in a sense, that's where I come from, and that's what I bring to the table at Together. So that's getting the business, looking at how the business can be grown, then looking at the PNL, ensuring that everything is done correctly on time, and at the same time looking at how can we grow as a company, which is in a sustainable manner. So and that combination works for us because people always say the left brain, right brain. We are sitting here
Hmm.
giving examples of left brain and right brain.
Yeah.
Right. Right. That's
I think both of us, both a defining trait for both of us is that we're junkies, honestly. ये थोड़ा सा है ना ये वाला this part in the universe where see both of us actually everyone are together, the founding team, like any one of us could have gotten a job and we would be far more comfortable than we are right now, honestly. Like
Mhm.
it's very weird, But we've chosen this because I think it's the junkies is the best way to describe everyone together. Like there is a choice for more money. There is a choice. I don't know. There is some weird wiring that's gone wrong, or there's some chemical locha that just makes us choose the more difficult life. I don't know why, but yeah, we are happy at doing that.
Good. So I guess that's an interesting insight that we have. We could explore it a bit later, but let's start with the story behind Together's inception. You are, I think, around a year old, and
Yeah.
so why, first of all, why did you decide to name the agency Together, and why did you remove all the vowels from the name?
Right.
And of course, and the initial challenges, the journey, obviously, that, like you said, and in a state, anxious state as well as a happy state, so both of them moving simultaneously together. So everything about in Together's inception.
So so let me start. Let me try and answer that first. So all of us know are weirdly very connected to the work. Okay. And and our time at the network, because of, and it's I don't blame networks for that, that there is a lot of crisis management and there is a lot of management that pours into the work. And what it doesn't do is it doesn't make your working life more fulfilling. Like fulfillment is what we keep looking for. It takes you away from the work. I think all of us had gotten over time so far away from the work, and the networks were that, so you can see the end of the tunnel. If you And that's when you see that, okay, I'll go through the other kilometer because the end of the tunnel is right there. What we thought was that this is how life is and it's not changing. Okay. And we are going to be so far away from the work eventually, and we are going to be so involved and so consumed by everything else but the work. That is what initially ignited the thought of Together, right? Like an independent agency is closer to the work we are actually doing. Like we are having less management meetings and more work meetings, be it a planning meeting, be it a creative meeting, be it a creative servicing meeting. We're having more of those rather than ye Excel sheet and wo and ye. I think we've always underestimated the amount of mind space that all of that takes. Like there are only 24 hours in a day, and there is only one brain where all of this is poured in, right? All of that ego handling, network issues, management problems, all that just takes up so much space that there is no space left for anything else. And just by virtue of starting Together, we are happier, we are closer to our families, we are more fulfilled in our workspace. And that was the essence of it. Like we none of us could have done this alone. None of us could have done it with only one person. I think the essence of Together is that all of us wanted to do better work coming together. Let's do it separately as a unit. So that is where Together was. Rahul, you wanna?
Yeah, so that is the philosophical part of it. Uh, but if you really get down to business also, the the core belief is uh, today you cannot see anything in silos. You cannot see any of the talent or capability in silos. Uh,
Right.
if everything comes together, so for us, from a founding member team and the team that we are also building, so we have people who are from a copy background, we have people from the planning background, we have people from creative, so base the creative side of the business. We have people from the media background. We have people from sales background. We have people from production background. So in today's world where brands are increasingly finding it difficult to, let's say, catch attention, engage with the consumers, from a solutioning point of view, having independent solutions coming together and then giving A plus B plus C is equal to D kind of a solution. Instead of that, we wanted to create a solution where we start thinking from all aspects, right? So there is a media input, there is a strategy input, there is a creative input, there is a technology input, there is digital input, there's a social media input, so everything comes together to make something which is a lot more effective. So we started off with that mindset key, the output that we are going to give will be effective. And somewhere down the line, what we also realized is it's becoming more efficient also. We are spending lesser time together in figuring life out. There is a cost implication where we are able to give a solution a little more cheaper. I'm not saying a lot more cheaper, but at least a little more cheaper, which basically can then be used in a different part of the business, right? So at together, when we say we all came together and we are creating a solution which really works, it is because of the diverse experience, diverse background from where we have come and where we are thinking and creating something for the client. It can be in let's say, let me put it like this. Uh, we are a company where if we have a creative brief, we still ask media questions because we understand that at the end of the day, media is where a lot of the exposure is going to be. You can come to us with a media brief and we will still ask creative questions because we want to understand what kind of creatives you are going to at the end of the day run so that we can create media solutions like that. You come to us from a digital kind of a aspect, but we will still ask you about iska media kya hone wala hai, what is the core thought, what is the strategy, because we want to understand where the client is coming from all aspects, and we want to create a solution which actually fits the bill. Not ki we are very good in this part, so we will give you only this solution, right? So that's also, so everything has come together for us from a service point of view, from a people point of view, the kind of work that we are having, everything has come together for us.
The product has actually improved, huh? The kind of work that we have done. So we complete a year on the 1st of August. The kind of work that we've actually done is far deeper, far more effective for our clients, and is at the same time winning awards. So the work has gotten better. We are providing better solutions because the understanding is deeper. What Rahul is saying is very important. Matlab, a lot of agencies say that, but they've not really been able to get the team together for it, and they've not been able to deliver on that front. Or even if the information is, sometimes the wrong questions are asked, sometimes the answers given are not understood. We've managed to get a beautiful bunch together that actually understand the length and breadth of it, and that is affecting our output. And that is the most beautiful part of together. We do everything from a 360 perspective. हमें media, it's not a thing about कि हमें media mandate चाहिए. It's not a money thing. It's more of an understanding thing. Look at it in terms of कि brief, the better the brief, the better the product is where our questions are coming in. That's how we operate.
Yeah.
And together का vowels क्यों drop कर दिए हैं? So we try to register together. There is no higher mighty reason for it. We wanted the name. We were all cued in on the name of together, but register trademark नहीं मिल रहा था हमें. Basically, it's as simple as that. So सारे vowels हटा दिए हम लोग and it got registered.
So I guess it also goes with today's digital generation, they
Correct,
tend
it
to
does.
drop all the vowels.
On hindsight, it works very well.
It does very
Right, so it comes fitted for today's generation.
yeah.
Right. Now coming to, you are an independent agency, you call yourself a boutique agency as well. So, there are a lot of uh, work efficiencies that you need to bring into, like Rahul said, at the beginning of the month, you're very happy, but towards the end of it, you're looking at, where is the money going to come from? So there are a lot of these little nitty-gritties, little challenges that keep cropping up for an independent agency. So what is your way, to your way of approaching the workflow, managing the workflow there, the monetization there, managing the revenues there, apart from delivering top-notch work for your clients?
I just do the work. Rahul does every part of this is Rahul. I think he's the best person to answer this. Yeah.
Right.
So, okay. So one thing which we have again, which I've learned from the network is planning.
Mhm.
So it is not that we will be unhappy if we don't meet the targets. We will be happy, but we will not be unhappy if it doesn't work the other way around. So one thing which I have learned being in sales, being in planning, I mean, being in the network side is also the rigor of the planning.
Mhm.
So there is a North Star which we are obviously chasing, but I also know always at the back end key what is the kind of expenses that I need to have in the next 3 months. It may be 10-15% off, but at least from a work point of view, we know what is going to be the key expenses which we are going to incur. So there is always that eye on the expense so that we can then the kind of work that we are doing is also matching that. That is one. Second, we value everyone's time, including our time. So when we are costing, we are not going to cost because we have won, let's say at Cannes, or we have won bunch of awards in different places. We are not going to be exorbitant. We will still be reasonable as long as you, as a client, you are working with us and understanding the process which goes into it. And there is the, you respect our time also. And our cost is very equitable,
Mhm.
right? So all the, let's say, X amount of time is what the team is spending on a particular project. It is highly equitable in terms of the revenue number. And we are constantly looking for newer and newer work. Some are, let's say, we are initiating conversation. In some cases, we are getting inquiries from outside also. And somewhere we are able to strike a balance between the income and the expense. The biggest challenge that we have as an independent agency is always the cash flow. Are the clients paying on time? Is it so wherever we are able to get certain advances, we work it from an advance point of view. We look at wherever possible, we are looking at a shorter credit duration. In some cases, we can't do anything, but that's something which, as an industry, we have to live with. But wherever the client understands and appreciates what we are able to bring to the table, we are able to get a good credit understanding with the client, and that's also helping us in keeping
Mhm.
everything afloat.
And it's
So
a
Right.
first year. This is a first year. It is
yes,
always a first year issue. Like every agency
Mm.
that in its first year, no, like basic fund cash flow is the biggest problem because the payments and GST will go out in 30 days and the
Mm.
client will pay in 60 days. Now, different people have different clients have different. We did hit a rough patch in between, but
Mm.
now we are getting ahead of the curve, and it's the first year thing. एक बार that cycle starts working, no, it's not too much of an
and
issue if
also
you have work coming in
Mm.
regularly. Yeah.
also we are also very cognizant on how to keep the expenses in check. So we are
Mm.
our
Uh,
expenses are also well managed to a large extent. Um, then from a team point of view, also that's the reason why I mentioned sustainable growth. We are really not looking at growing at 100%, 200% for the next 5 years, and then at the same time have an uncontrollable, let's say, salary cost because I have hired 100
Mm.
people, 150 people. That's not something which we are really interested in. We are
Yeah.
we are here for the long run, which means that it has to be in a sustainable manner, which ensures that we are cash positive, team is not overburnt,
Mm.
enjoying the work. and we are getting all the rewards. So we are trying to strike that balance as much as possible. But
अरे we are
yes,
very
Well,
scrappy. We are very scrappy. We take the middle seats also. पता है? वो in the flight.
flight.
We take we वाला middle seat. We get scrappy about stuff.
Right. Right. And anything, these are some lessons in money management
Yeah.
and basically avoiding your Baiju trap, right?
Yeah.
so
Avoiding getting into that
Yes.
that that kind of
Absolutely. Like
so
over hiring and
from
all
a
those
make my
stuff.
trip from a make my trip from looking at accommodation in make my trip, I have moved to Airbnb as the hunting ground now. So these are
Mm,
Correct.
smaller things which we have learned along the way, basically.
Yeah.
right.
We'll
I'm
get
making
there.
mental notes of that.
We'll get there. We'll get like not the first few years, but all the people are together have accepted this in our heads. Like I told you, difficult life. We love the difficult life.
The life actually of an entrepreneur, and there can't be any better life than that, actually. I
Yeah.
mean, in the long term, if you look at it, yes, definitely. Now, Alap, coming to you,
Yes.
what is your and Together's approach to creative thinking? That sets it apart, that you can go forward and tell your client that, see, this is what we can do for you, and this is really going to be very different from what others might, tackle your solution or your problem that you have. So, what is your approach to creativity, creative thinking, and giving that perfect campaign to your client?
So when we look at creative at together, no, so our biggest strength is the quality of thinking. Okay.
Hmm.
And if you take a step back and you go into the DNA of together, so we have started working with a senior team. So there are two ways of starting an agency. One, you can start with a bunch of juniors, and there is one senior at the top, and then you keep adding seniors as and when the business comes. And the second way is that you get seniors, and then you keep adding juniors under them. The difference between the two is the quality of thinking. The person who will the agency that will have the juniors will be able to handle delivery better because they will be able to do it at scale, while the people who have a senior heavy team will have the conversations and the thinking better because experienced people are sitting
Right.
across the table and think. Together's quality of thinking is more of a superpower than the quantity of briefs that we can take, right? We would rather do 3 briefs well than do 30 briefs semi well. Okay. And that is where all our energies is concentrated on. So we are very picky about the people who are at together also because we genuinely believe that we've passed that age long back where media is isolated in silos and creative में digital divide है and का ATL divide है. We're very particular about the people because everyone at together needs to understand at least 2 to 3 parts of the business. Okay.
Hmm.
And then when we are brainstorming, the kind of inputs that come in no are already four understanding ready. Say, for example, if we always concentrate on the idea, we don't concentrate on the medium
Hmm.
because it can be digital, it can be mainline, it can be anything in the world. It can be a media led only. It might not even be creative at level. Maybe it's just an execution thing. If the solution is the right and efficient solution for the problem that the client has given us, then that is the way to do it. And you can only do this when everyone across the table knows what they're talking about, knows every part of the equation, and can foresee. It's a foresight. What seniority does is not, it just doesn't give you experience. It gives you gut. It
Hmm.
gives you uh, premonition. It gives you how things will fan out, right? In when I take this thing from a film to a digital to a on ground and then execute and distribute it in banners on media, people should be able to see all of that, right? And those are the kind of people we have. So our approach is more on understanding the problem and delivering the solution rather than understanding the problem and delivering the solution that is restricted by the my limitations. Like if I don't understand digital as an agency, if I did not understand digital when I was in a network, I tried to sell the client a mainline solution because even if it wasn't the right solution, because that is all that I could do.
Mhm.
This is not what we do. We concentrate on the solution. We concentrate on the depth of the idea. What is the right execution for this brief? The client doesn't brief us, the client gives us a problem, and we solve the problem in the best way possible. That is what we do. And in that, we create whatever interesting magic that we can. So that is our approach. The
Mhm.
magic dust is the creativity. This is still what I'm talking about is still the roadmap. The destination is something which is full of pixie dust. Okay. And that is something that I think the team and together has by default. Like like we literally have this conversations that agar yahi, if the idea is not good, no, the
Mhm.
argument is not ये अच्छा नहीं है ये नहीं है अगर यही करना था तो हम लोग यहाँ पे क्या कर रहे हैं.
Right.
So there is an internal yardstick that we keep telling her, अगर यही करना था तो together चालू क्यों करा है? अगर यही करना था, if the intent is not to shit face the work that we were doing before, but I'm saying that uncompromised creativity is a
Mhm.
default setting in everyone. I don't know how scalable it will be whenever we scale or whatever, but the core team right now is uncompromised creativity with the right solution. And when you combine these two, no, there is a very nice mix that comes for the client, and the client is genuinely surprised by the depth of thinking and the application of creativity in it when we present. And that is why we get called again. So that is more or less like a very long monologue, but that's more or less what the thinking and creative together is.
No, it's always interesting to listen to, the how the creative mind ticks, you know, the kind of inner clockwork that goes on. It's always very interesting, very refreshing, whenever we interact with the agency creative heads, agency founders, that are very heavy on the creative side. So thanks for sharing, in fact, such a detailed way in which your creative mind and together's creative mind works. Now,
Yeah.
moving on to of course your Cannes win. Now, first of all, were you expecting the Harpix Locator campaign to win actually at Cannes? Were you expecting that it come an out of the blue surprise? So, what was your first reaction?
So so whenever you send something, so I've been sending awards for decades now. Whenever
Hmm.
you send something, no, you expect it to win. Like
Right.
you assume it's going to win. So the expectations were always there. I think we were also seen and senior people know, so, but kitne bhi senior ho jaye na, we are like children when it comes to
Hmm.
awards. We are like kids, like yeah, we
सही बात.
want it, we want it, we want the candy in the candy shop, and वैसा वाला थोड़ा होता है, थोड़ा सा जिद टाइप का होता है, and your
Hmm.
heart burn भी बहुत होता है, heart ache भी बहुत होता है. So वो we were expecting something. Honestly, we didn't know what, but just by virtue of sending it, we knew that there were hopes in it, and our experience also tells us that there were pieces in it that should be appreciated on a global stage, and also parts of it were appreciated in the India stage. Um, we never honestly expected a glass. Like
Hmm.
glass is like the gold standard of can,
Absolutely.
and it's very impact driven, and it you have to make a presentation. There is a whole
Hmm.
complication to glass, which is why it is even rarer than a normal can. We were expecting a normal can, like direct में मिल जाएगा या brand experience में मिल जाएगा and stuff like that. A
Hmm.
glass is something extraordinary. We really couldn't believe, like we had budget constraints, and and we did not have the money and yeah and wo, but we still figured out tickets, went there for the presentation because the presentation was always better. They give you an option to do it digitally, but to do it physically is always better. So थोड़ा कुछ करके पहुंच गए हम लोग, credit card swipe करके we reached, and then the presentation went well. There were people in the industry, I won't name them, but they were like seniors in the industry who were extremely graceful in guiding us. They were well wishers. They know who they are, but they told us about their experience. And then they told us कि ये करो, वैसे करो. We I think we had a fabulous client. The Reckitt is a brilliant client, and the team that we are working with are the best supporters that we could get. It's a combination of many things that got us to the class. We weren't expecting it. I got the message before it was announced through some sources, and we were at Cannes, and I started crying. I couldn't speak. Then they had to like Pragati was there with me, so she had to snatch the phone to read what the message was. And then everyone is like just emotional, everyone's screaming, and we had almost given up. Since the information had not come in, we assumed that we didn't win. And then it just came in suddenly out of the blue. And so extremely emotional moments. We got drunk, we got shit-faced as much as we could at Cannes, in India, everywhere that anyone was associated to. People couldn't believe it. We've realized the number of, like, they could be just congratulating us, but there you can make out in your gut feel about how many people are genuinely happy for you and how many people are just congratulating you. The number of people who are genuinely happy is beautiful. I never even in my wildest dream imagined so many people emotionally connected to this one win, because a lot of independent agencies came to us even at Cannes and after Cannes that hey, you've done something interesting. We know that it is very difficult, and we were rooting. They were rooting for us even before the win. They met us days before the win, and they said that we have our fingers crossed for together. And when we won, they were drinking with us. It's beautiful how independent agencies have just flocked together that हम लोगों में कोई भी जीत जाए. वो वैसा होता है ना कि इंडिया में से कोई स्पेस में पहुंच जाए, पूरा इंडिया प्राउड है, हम लोग सब सब वैसा वाला थोड़ा सा. It's beautiful how that has come, and it's one of the biggest realization that how many people are rooting for you. So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's
It's,
been
it's like, the ongoing Olympics, medal कोई एक athlete जीता है, but the entire
correct.
country, you know,
Feels
pictures
yeah.
feels proud कि हमें medal मिल गया है.
Correct. Correct.
It must have been, they can draw a parallel there.
Yeah.
Amazing for sharing that experience. And now that you made the presentation before this entire jury, what was it, that was praised the most about the Locator campaign? What did they
So
like the
I
most and found it very, very, very different, very hatke?
so Reckitt as a brand is very committed to the cause. Okay. Reckitt is the flag bearer of toilet hygiene and usable toilets in India. Glass always awards change.
Mhm.
Okay. The best thing that we lucked out on was Reckitt was a brand. Okay. And Reckitt has a history of doing this in rural areas, making the hygiene index for the government of India. And they had applied that kind of muscle also, as they always do in this idea. Okay. And hence the impact that this idea had and the number of lives it touched or the number of downloads se leke, how their investment in infrastructure is. They're just not made an app, they've also committed themselves to make toilets and clean toilets at some parts, and yeah, that is what impacted the jury the most, because what they're looking for in the glass line of change is long-term commitment and long-term impact. Okay. And that is where our whole thing was. And our argument in the case was also built around that if it's interesting that we reached that conclusion with the Reckitt team. and I'm actually talking about it for the first time on public domain. But the the conversation was that if a woman doesn't step out, then or is not comfortable stepping out, then she is not comfortable doing anything in life. Because घर के अंदर रह के you can't get her the freedom, the financial exposure, anything, any cause that happens is the day she is confident in stepping out. Okay. And how, with the locator, are we enabling women to step out confidently was our entire presentation. Okay. And that is what had the most impact because Reckitt commits itself to it. Reckitt is doing this long term, past, future, present, everything. So that's what I think won the jury's eye. Yeah.
Right. Now, taking this particular campaign forward, how are you going to expand it? How are you, going to include more elements into it, from helping women find clean washrooms, around the vicinity. Um, uh, I mean, do you want it to take a life of its own? How do you want to take it forward now?
So there are two parts to the locator. One is that it is crowdsourced, and the other
Mm,
is an addition of a database. Like there are two parts. The amount of database that is being added from Reckitt's end in terms of how many loos exist, where they are, and all that is being added, and that is growing. And the amount of data. So the problem with so people say that Google कर लेते हैं हम लोग loos को. Okay. While that is true, and why does the locator exist? Because the number of people stepping out में, if out of 10 people stepping out in India, 8 of them are men. Okay. And the data that Google has is skewed towards men because 8 of them, 80% of the audience is men. Hence, everything is about that part of the universe, right? While women can't find, and that's just 20%. What the locator does is changes that calibration. It makes the
mm,
20% more important than the 80%, and hence gives the woman the right solution. So this database building, the filtration of it, this is not an app that has gone off the grid. This app is there to stay. The maintenance of the app, Reckitt is committed to that. Addition of toilets in terms of physical spaces, creation,
mm.
maintaining everything Reckitt is doing. So that's the long-term impact that we have on this.
Right. I hope you spread out this campaign in the Northeast part as well. So I'm just sharing a personal the, experience in this. Like I frequently travel from. I'm based in Guwahati. Frequently travel to Dibrugarh. So
Hmm.
which takes around 8 to 9 to 10 hours by road. So I usually travel by road. And throughout this entire 10 hours, I do not step out of the car because there are not
Oh.
enough washrooms, that I can use. There are some in Indian oil petrol pumps, but they are usually in a very dirty condition. And also, maybe, Reckitt can probably look at, expanding it in the Northeast, where often, people make very long journeys and it's usually via road. So
And do you also avoid drinking water because you won't be
yes,
stepping
yes,
out
yes, yes, yes. Hardly, maybe I might be having half a cup the entire
half a
journey.
cup? Yeah, that's so sad that women have to go through this. Like you
Yes.
can download the locator, it catches your location and helps you with
I'll definitely
ratings
do
and
that.
yeah.
Yeah, probably add maybe one or two such, utilities that probably can be helpful for other women as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, now you were at Cannes, and obviously this is not the first year that you were at Cannes. You've been there earlier. So, in what are your lasting impressions of Cannes Lions, especially 2024 edition? That you are carrying with you, and definitely how it has broadened your view on creativity and approach to campaigns.
Hmm. Like I genuinely feel that there was so there's a constant decrease in the number of medals that India is winning.
Mm-hmm.
Like every year we're just falling down and down and down. I genuinely feel that there are many things that India was selling, the world is not buying it anymore. Okay. I think there is a poverty porn narrative that we try to get into. And this is my observation that poverty porn is not selling anymore because one, there is a jury member who is looking at, say, Modi talking about India being a superpower. Okay. That is what they see on their Instagram or their Twitter or their X, for example. And then they go and judge a piece from India which says that, hey, we are this backward country where kids don't have XYZ. Now, this disparity is happening in the same jury member's head. And that is where the poverty porn seems like a lie. And the second it seems fishy to an international jury, they vote it out. I think we're just doing too many poverty porn ideas. I think the hyper localization is fine. That, hey, India has this issue. That is fine. But the way that we portray it, or the way that we say it, or the way that we are looking for pity, we don't need pity anymore, is because we are a world power. We are one of the biggest powers in the world, right? And we might not be the power in the world, but we are not backward anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
we shouldn't be looking for pity, and that is what poverty porn tries to pull.
Mm-hmm.
That is not where we should be at. We should be in a space of, hey, this is a problem. This is a unique problem to India, and Indians are like that, and this is how we solve it. Rather than, hey, we are so poor, we are so downtrodden, hey, our life is so bad, please give us a can. That shouldn't be our
Mm-hmm.
narrative. That is where I think we are right now.
I think somewhere, this disparity is ingrained in especially the foreign media as well. If you recall, recently Anand Ambani's wedding and the kind of opulence that it showed, and all that the foreign media picked up on was that look how much they are splurging, $600 million on a wedding, and on the other hand, there is poverty in India. But then no one is inviting you to highlight the poverty because we Indians are also trying to get out of that poverty now.
Yeah, yeah,
That resilience is something I think maybe even we as media, Indian media, and the ad agency factors, probably I think that resilience now needs to be communicated more on international forums like Khan Alliance, probably, so that no one says that Anant Ambani versus extreme poverty, and they would show that same kind of images, visuals from some slums, maybe Dharavi and all that. Uh, so I think we need to change that narrative,
narrative. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
right? Now, coming to narratives, Rahul, you said there is always a pressure on finances. There is always a pressure to meet growth targets. Definitely, and it's a very reality. Otherwise, where do you get the revenues in from? But amid, this pressure to meet the growth targets and all, is the brand narrative and brand love, are they somewhere getting sidelined, you think?
So, so this is, let's say, counterintuitive for many,
Mm-hmm.
but this is something which I have somehow arrived at, and I'll tell you how I have arrived at also.
Mm-hmm.
In the next 5 years, brand love and brand narrative is going to play a very important role because hundreds of new brands are coming, thousands of existing brands are there. Internet, which was a gold mine for many startups and
Mm-hmm.
many performance marketing, etc., that is no longer growing. The unit price on digital is going to grow up. Right now, India is one of the cheapest when it comes to unit price. CPC,
Mm-hmm.
CPMX, CPV, etc. India is the cheapest. So if the unit price is going to go up, the digital universe is not growing. The cost of acquisition performance metrics is going to go up. New brands are coming, existing brands are existing.
Mhm.
So the only in such a scenario, what is going to happen is cost is not going to be the moat. It is the brand which is going to be the moat. It is the brand
Mhm.
love, the brand narrative. If you are not there in the top three consideration to begin the consumer journey or the purchase journey, then you don't exist. Because from a brand's point of view or a business point of view, CAC is no longer key. I will optimize it even further and reduce the CAC. That is not going to be a question in 5 years. So in the
Mhm.
next 5 years, I strongly feel that brand love and brand narrative will take the center stage. Uh, we are we are cognizant that yes, both the world exists. That I need to build the brand narrative, and at the same time, I also need to have the business as always campaigns as well. We are cognizant. We are able to do both, but today we feel, or again, my estimation is there is only 10 percentage of the market which, or 10 percentage of the businesses which is focusing on brand love. Next 5 years, a large part of the advertising community or advertising brands will start focusing on the brand love. So in our growth also, it's a good segue because we are already talking about it. In the next 5 years, we should be, uh, once we are doing consistently over time, we will be
Mhm.
one of the top agencies who will be able to take this narrative forward. So
Right.
that's the game.
Right. So this is actually for both of you. We are seeing the emergence of deep tech, especially AI, and how AI is challenging as well as championing advertising creativity. So, what are your views on AI? How much are you adopting it into your own workflow, if you are doing it all? And how do you see this, rapid adoption of AI? Um, impacting the entire advertising scenario.
So Alap can take the creative part. I will take it. I'll take AI or address AI in a
Mhm.
different way.
Mhm.
See, okay, for the next few years at least, until the next AI equivalent comes, AI is
Mhm.
going to be, at least we feel that it is going to be an integral part of our life. Not per
Mhm.
se from an advertising point of view. It is just like how Microsoft Word came, yeah, Excel came, yeah, laptops came into the existence.
Right.
As individuals, the focus has to be on how can AI help us become more efficient and effective. I mean, so even though I'm not purely creative, I'm part of this company, but then I know that AI, I mean, I use AI for many things. When some of my mails are proofread, some of my mails are rewritten, some of my articles are checked for proofing, grammar, etc. I use AI a lot. Uh,
Mhm.
and it has made life easier. Now, otherwise, what will happen is I would have I mean, I would have written something, then I will get somebody else to come proof check. So there's a lot of time saving which happens with AI. So AI at the end of the day is just a tool which we have to accept, learn how to use so that our life becomes simple or easier. Not simple, it becomes easier and we can be more
Mhm.
effective. That also goes into from a creativity point of view. And Alap can actually add how we do whatever
Mhm.
we do.
So
Right.
creative में ना, so what is essentially happening is there are two facts. एक तो there's designing and there is copy. So as far as designing is concerned, I think there is a whole new world that is opened because of AI and generative AI. We have an entire studio led by an industry veteran that deals in that, and we are seeing beautiful pieces come out every single time. The accuracy is increasing and everything. And
Mhm.
layout wise, like our presentations are much more beautiful and
Mhm.
stuff is happening. I think it's had a major impact. Generative AI has had a major impact in terms of the visual storytelling that we do on a regular basis. as far as the writing part of it is concerned, right? Rahul is
mm,
bang on in saying that it makes things efficient. Like I used to do research when I was trying to write copy, and now
mhm,
instead of looking and going through like some 6 pages of content, I can just ask the Microsoft Copilot and it'll give me, I use Copilot. So it'll just give me everything that I need to know about the topic, at least a summary of it, right? That
mm,
helps me craft copy better. I think AI is a summary of the internet.
mhm,
And whenever asked upon, it will summarize that part of the universe for you. By definition, it's an average.
mm,
Okay. So this whole debate of it will take our jobs up, it will take our jobs up, it will
mm,
take the average and below average copywriter's job for sure 10 years down the line. Because if your work is not up to the mark, it can be easily replaced by something like an AI. Okay.
mm,
If you're actually good, I think this is the time where we push ourselves to do better, better than average, better than below average. We
mm,
can't just be doing our jobs just for the sake of it, because then an automated tool will do it in the same quality slash fashion as writers we probably would. Okay. That
mm,
is, we still have another 5, 10 years left before we come to that stage. We should push ourselves to do better now.
mm.
Then it will become a tool for you, not a replacement of you. Okay. And that is where creative and AI has like I genuinely don't think that everyone who's fighting that AI is taking my job or AI will take my job, understand
Mm,
its applications in its entirety anyway. Like just because it's like a WhatsApp forward. Like suddenly
mm,
everyone feels that X person has died because they've received a WhatsApp forward. Everyone is
mm,
saying that AI will take my job. इसीलिए everyone is saying हाँ मेरा job चला जाए मेरा job चला जाए ban AI ban AI. अरे
mm,
Photoshop आया था we had the same conversation.
mm, mm.
When
Right.
laptops came we had the same conversation. We are still here. We've just adapted to it to use the tool better. Right? I think we should stop fighting it, understand it, and get better at our jobs so that we don't get replaced by it. That's
I'll
all there is.
I'll also add to it. See,
Mm,
talking on the taking on the tool part.
mm,
See, at the end of the day, a tool in the hand of a worker depends on the skill of the worker. And the skill comes from knowledge. The skill comes
mm,
from experience. Because, like Alap said, AI will give you a summary. Now, is the summary correct or not? Depends. I mean, it's up
Correct.
to the person to accept. For example, last year or the year before that, I was doing some research, say, on I use Gemini because
mm,
pulls in a lot more information from the Google world of this information. Now, uh, it was great from reading 10 pages or 10 websites. Now I just had a summary. But the more I went into it, I realized that most of the summary which it was giving was wrong.
Correct.
So that comes with experience. That comes with how you have groomed yourself. So a
Correct.
person who is constantly trying to learn, constantly trying to have find newer experiences and take that experience for betterment of that person, they will enjoy AI.
Mm,
It will be a lot more effective and efficient for them to use an AI compared to a person, let's say, who doesn't want to do too much of research. जो पहले whatever comes out as a first response, you use it, may or may not work. Spend some more
Yes.
time refining it. Spend some more time
right.
putting your own intuition, your own experience on top of it. Then it becomes a lot better.
And this quality check and resilience, no, will never be
Mm,
replaced by a system. This is human. This can never be replaced. A system कैसे resilience कैसे करेगा? मतलब it is giving an idea, a summary. उसके हिसाब से so this is the
mm,
best summary. Correct.
mm,
A
mm.
human is the one who decides if this is good enough or not.
Right.
So we have to learn, we have to one, understand it, and
Mm.
second, learn to be better at it, with it. और कुछ नहीं है.
Right, right. Dushman mat samjho. It's a tool that will
Correct.
enhance your
It's a tool.
capabilities.
Absolutely, it's a
Yeah.
tool.
Mm, great.
And ऐसा भी नहीं
Uh,
है, sorry, just one last thing,
mm,
ऐसा भी नहीं है that अगर हम लोग सब मोर्चा करेंगे और
mm,
बोलेंगे कि नो एआई, तो वो वापस चला जाएगा.
mm-hmm.
It's here. It's not the
You're right.
Britishers that we can revolt and send back. It's here. It's in the system. It's there. It
Right.
exists. It is efficient. It's not going to go back. I don't understand why we are fighting it. I think we should learn it as a tool and move on. No. मोर्चा करेंगे सब लोग,
True.
धरना करेंगे तो चला थोड़ी जाएगा वापस.
True, true, true. I think a lot of it comes from because maybe we haven't understood it properly. There needs to be
Yeah.
deeper understanding of it. Great. Now the next question is about the current state of Indian advertising, some of the realities that everyone is facing. um, with regulatory mandates, especially like that we saw with self-regulation, self-declaration certificates. And now, of course, that has been reduced to two sectors, but it is still there. Um, Being on the right side of woke, there is a lot of happening on that end. Rise of social media backlash. Now, these are some of the very tough realities, that are facing the market, not just the advertising section, but every sphere of our lives today. So, amid all this, do you think the fun is being sucked out of advertising creatives? It has to be very politically correct now.
See, I'll take a shot at it first.
Mhm,
Yeah, please.
Uh, See, it is not, okay, certain things are important. Okay. So, for example, the regulatory self-filing, the intent is bang on. I mean, it
mm,
was very nice. But then again, we were scratching our heads on how to implement it. So there
mm,
was no solution for it. See, as long as the answer to all this is if the brand narrative and the brand love and the brand's intent is being
mm,
shown beautifully in a piece of creative. It can be in any form. Okay.
mm,
As long as it passes through the brand lens, it passes through the current cultural lens, right?
mm,
And it is able to accept the changing media stroke, digital stroke, technology lens, right?
mm,
There is absolutely no fear of advertising becoming boring.
mm,
It is when you are trying to do something the easy way out. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out the light. Yeah. It is when you are trying to do something, get the easy way out. It is when you find that if you are not ready to accept the changing dynamics of this, let's say media, digital, etc., landscape, that's when one, you will find it tiring. More than boring, you will find it tiring because you are not ready
mm,
to accept change. Second, because you are not ready to accept change, now everything becomes too boring. कि ये, I don't understand it, so then it's boring for me,
mm,
right? So just ensure that you are able to put it through three, four lenses, which is important. And again, this depends
mm,
on from brand to brand. For some brand, culture
mm,
becomes important. Some brand,
mm.
let's say technology becomes important. Some brand,
Right.
media becomes important. At least three, four cohorts or three, four lenses that you can put the idea through. If it passes through those lenses, then creativity, fun, joy, nothing goes off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ala?
And and see on a creative front, no,
Mm,
I think I think the kind of creative challenges that are existing or where this, so let's address the woke, what we refer to as the woke thinking
mm,
and woke ye, woke. What it is removing, no, I genuinely believe that shouldn't have existed in the first place, right? Sensitivity to people and sensitivity to their feelings or understanding that this can be offensive. I feel that we've lived so long with it that we are finding it difficult to get out of. Okay,
mm,
it's more of a adaptability problem rather than is it right or wrong problem.
mm,
I think what is being done is the right thing to do. It's difficult today because you've been living with it for so long, but it should have
mm,
happened a long time back. Like I genuinely believe that. So so when and a lot of people say this that because social backlash aa jayega. See, we
mm,
are oversensitive. Some people are oversensitive at some level. They have their reasons. I respect those reasons.
mm,
If you genuinely have a reason, I genuinely respect you. Some people are just doing it for the sake of it. I'm not talking about those kind of cases. I'm talking
mm,
about a general perception that creativity is being strangled by such hygiene checks and such conversations. I feel that if your creativity sustains itself on things that should be insensitive or heartless or non-inclusive, then it is not the right form of creativity in the first place. Okay,
mm,
होना ही नहीं चाहिए वैसा. Correct. Why should you create a piece which offends people? Why do you need to create have see creativity is like water. It can take any shape. It takes the shape of
mm,
the vessel. If you put it in the wrong vessel, then it'll seem like it's in the wrong shape. Na? Why does
mm,
your creativity need to take a form?
mm,
I'm saying that you're getting to understand how people and how it matters to them what you put out, right?
mm,
We are not, I'm not tweeting as Alap who has like 100 people looking at his tweet. I am tweeting as a brand. There
mm.
are a million people looking at it. There is a sense of responsibility that comes with it, right?
Right.
I think that creativity is reaching its nice, warm, fuzzy form by virtue of this churn.
Mm,
It is difficult because we've lived with it, but I
mm.
think the end is worth it. The end of the tunnel, genuinely, the light at the end of the tunnel is worth it, is what I feel. It might be subjective.
I think there is some network issue here.
Yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
frozen for us. Yeah, you're back.
Alap, I'm extremely sorry. I missed that last bit of yours. I think maybe
I'm saying,
I'm having some network issues.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think you had a network glitch. I was saying
Yeah.
that it's painful because we have lived with it for so long, but I
Mm-hmm,
genuinely believe that the end is worth it. The
mm-hmm,
version of creativity that comes out, the light at
mm,
the end of the tunnel is totally worth it. We will be more sensitive. I am more sensitive. I didn't know
mm,
a lot of things about a lot of people. And after reading about it, I've kind of understood that ye cheez bol dete. I've said things which I
mm,
never even realized were offensive to people. And after this entire thing has come in, I've realized that yeah, if I were that person, empathy is the basic crux of
mm.
advertising, right? If you
Right.
can't empathize to people, then what is the advertising that you're doing, right? So I think it's worth it. It's difficult, but it's worth it.
Right. Now coming to the end of it, um, you know, the glass win at Cannes Lions, it's the pinnacle. So what is there to beat that experience, that achievement? And what next after Cannes Lions? अब यहाँ से आप और आगे कहाँ जाएंगे? What are the projections and roadmap that you have drawn up for together, at least over the next 5 years? This is for
Yeah.
both of you.
Yeah.
So, see, award. So we won the award this year.
Mm,
Uh, will we win something next year? Can we make it 3 awards? Can we make it 5 awards? Can we make it 10 lines? Now, those things time will only tell.
mm,
I'm not, at least we are not fuzzing around it right now. We just enjoyed it. I mean, we have it's been almost 40 days right now since the award. We have taken a pause. We have enjoyed it. And now we are back to the work, back to the grind. We are already sitting with, I mean, so irrespective of the can, we were sitting with few projects, inquiries, briefs, etc. Uh, but this has definitely helped us initiate a lot more conversation.
I think I'm having some internet.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry, I had a brief internet break. Could you please repeat that if you don't mind?
yeah. So we won can this year. Will we
Mm-hmm.
win next year? Will we win big next year? That only time will tell. If there are briefs which uh, I mean, the response to brief can turn into a can. That's something which we will go through that journey and then we will see how it happens next year. We
Mm-hmm.
were already sitting on some inquiries before can.
Mm-hmm.
The number of conversation, I'm not saying number of inquiries have increased, the number of conversations that I'm having with clients, partners, vendors, the ecosystem has increased considerably over the last 40-45 days. And we just want to keep that momentum going. Will that convert into a business? If not now, somewhere down the line, that's something which we will work on. Uh, but having said that, nothing has technically changed for us between the Canvin and today. I still do cold calls, at least 2, 3 cold calls in a week. Uh, the rigor that we have, I think she's stuck again.
Yeah. रुक जाते हैं एक second.
I
हाँ.
Hello?
Hello. हाँ. I think network चला गया उनका. I messaged Rohit and connected the two. Huh?
Acha, okay.
I'm extremely sorry. I think I
No
got
worries. It's
logged off. My internet
understanding.
is
Oh, sorry.
complaining now. Um, Rahul, I didn't get the last bit of it. Would you mind repeating that, please, if you don't?
So what I was saying is, so again, the conversations have increased over the last 45 days. Uh, Whether those will convert into businesses, whether that will become a brief and a campaign, that we'll see as we progress. Some may not. We are not again too frazzled about that. We, for us, nothing has actually changed. That's something which we have told everyone. My cold calls are still there. Uh, the rigor that we put in on any briefs, be it creative, be it media, technology, activation, any briefs that still exist. Uh, we we are not in a rush to become a very large company. We want to grow in a, see, we are sustainable right now. We are self-sufficient and we are sustainable right now. We want to grow at a pace which will not impact the culture, which will not impact the happiness that we have, uh, the satisfaction that we have. So, so any kind of growth that we will look at will have one, whether this is a proof of concept or whether it is a model that can be taken forward in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Does not mean that we don't want to grow. Yes, we want to grow.
Hmm.
But then there are few things which are very close to us, and we would want to retain that satisfaction, so there is satisfaction both from a client's perspective as well as individual personal perspective as well.
Hmm.
Client has, at the end of the day, we work for someone, right? Our
Hmm.
customers
Right.
have to be happy. So client satisfaction is very important, which means we will not bite anything which we can't deliver on.
Hmm.
Personal satisfaction is important, which means the rigor and the quality of the product, be it media, creative, digital technology, that should not be sacrificed. Then, as a model, right now we are a small team of 20-25 people. Now, when that becomes 50 people, when that becomes 100 people, can we retain the essence as we are retaining right now?
Mm.
So these are the things on which we would want to grow, which means that if we are able to survive 5 years, then why not 10 years? Why not 15 years? Why not
Mm.
20? So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Alap, for you, what do the next 5 years look like?
So, so post the can win, no? I
Mm-hmm.
think so. There is a before conversation that we have with our friends, before drinks conversation we have, and then there is an after drink conversation, advertising friends. So at the start of it, they say, "Yeah, can jeet gaye tum log," and yeah, and then some 7 drinks down, they'll say that अब तो next year जीतना पड़ेगा, and that is where the
Mm.
biggest pressure for for
Mm.
us, at least creatively, is that now we've done it. I think it was this. I faced this the first time I won a can also. Like till you don't win a can, no,
Mm.
life is fairly simple because you're trying.
Mhm.
Okay. Jeete nahi jeete, it's okay. If you won a can, I think there is more pressure in repeating it again and again and again and again,
Mm.
which is more stressful than winning your first can. Like the last time I faced this was, and I did not get out of that whole cycle only. Then it's not because someone forces it to you onto you. Creatively, you've achieved something, you want to do it again and again and again.
Mm.
In my network days, in before together, I have kind of seen that affect the work. Okay. The biggest challenge that creatively together will have is how do we, like Rahul said, maintain the things that we hold dear to together
Mhm.
and still win. I think it's not only about winning, it's about a happy win. Like
Right.
before together, it was just a win.
Mhm.
Like now we all want to be happy about that win. We want to know that our core was kept alive. The work was still awesome and it also won. I think the happy win part is the bigger challenge right now. We want to be satisfied and with what we do, and that is very important part of the win. I think सिर्फ कैन जीतना होता ना तो it
Mm.
was easier. अब ये दोनों साथ में करने हैं, it's slightly more complicated, but I think it's a wonderful challenge because we are all in it. We're trying to do it. We are all seniors, so we know that हो सकता है next year ना जीते. ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है that every year
Mm.
we will win at can. ऐसा नहीं हो
Mhm.
सकता because there are million factors in play. Okay, you can have the
Mhm.
best piece, but someone in the jury doesn't agree with it. Someone
Mm.
in the jury agrees with a bad piece and it wins. There is some other agency who's thought there are a million things that go wrong with it. We can only, the best thing to do is to do our best, and that's all we can do. But doing it happily is what the next plan is. जीते
Mm.
तो जीते, ठीक है, नहीं जीते तो भी ठीक है. At least we were happy with what we did. And staying happy is more important than winning for us right now. So,
Absolutely.
क्योंकि वो
यहाँ
तो
सभी
नेटवर्क में भी
सिकंदर है,
हाँ
घबराई नहीं,
सभी
यहाँ सभी
सिकंदर एंड
सिकंदर है.
करेक्ट करेक्ट एंड अगर सिर्फ जीतने के लिए जीतना था ना तो वो तो पहले भी कर
Mm.
सकते थे ना टुगेदर क्यों फॉर्म करा तो
Right. So, last question, okay? I mean, I'm really curious about this. Alab, you have heavily accessorized your right hand. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
so so this started like
Can you show us?
so
There's so many of them. Oh
also I
my
have
goodness.
also got together
Oh
here
yes, yes,
so
there's a tattoo there.
I've got a tattoo also. So one good thing happens now in one good life event happens. Like say for example, starting off together, buying my mom dad a car from my salary and stuff like that. I put on one. So these are basically memories.
Oh,
These are all blessings that I've had. They have been extremely helpful when I'm going through a dark phase, and everyone goes through a dark phase. Then
hmm,
that when you're going through a bad phase, you feel that everything that's happening to you is bad. These just have reminded me that so many good things have happened. I never take them off. I don't even take them off
my
at
God, this is
airports. and everything is just like
Amazing.
blessings.
Amazing. I just wish, it fills up your entire arm. Both
Thank
your
you
arms,
so
in
much.
fact.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Oh my God. This is so interesting. I guess
Yeah, they're
everyone, maybe we can imbibe a few, at least a few threads of remembrance, of good memories. This is
yeah.
such a positive affirmation you have, Alap. Thank you so much for sharing it. And Rahul, do you also have such positive affirmations around you?
See,
Shaking his hand.
my positive affirmation are, see, the close set of gang that I have,
Mm-hmm.
um, my wife, my family, uh,
Mm-hmm.
the small friends circle that we have, then even together for that matter, because if you look at, if you really look at together, the relationship goes back, even though together is completing a year day after tomorrow, our relationship go back a long way. So Anadi and I have known each other since 2011.
Okay.
Anadi and Gor and I have known each other since 2013, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Alap and Pragati go back 16, 17,
Oh, 14 years. 14 years.
Wow. Wow.
14. So the see, we understand each other, and that itself is a, I mean, and we have been through the thick and thin. So that itself is an affirmation for each other. As in, so there are times when I get angry and dejected, and then Alap says, "Yaar, ho jayega." When there are times when he is going through that, and then I will say, or somebody else will say, "Yaar, ho jayega." I mean, let's look at it from a positive. So
That's
that's
most of the time. Be dejected and they're battling me.
so
Okay, amazing.
so
So,
that's what keeps us going, or keeps
Yeah.
me going. Yeah.
right. Actually, that's what we as human beings actually look at more. Like the more you get ahead in life in terms of age, in terms of so all your old friendships begin to matter much, much more, much,
Yeah.
much more. You tend to fall back on that a lot more than, all the hundreds and thousands of followers that you might have on social media
Yeah.
At the end of
platforms.
the day, that I would still always have that one drink with my that one friend who I have known for the last whom I have known for half my life.
Mm,
So
right.
that's it's a personal relationship that keeps us going, and I have great set.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you so much, Alap. Thank you so much, Rahul, for
So
spending
much
such a
for
long
having
time.
us.
I know I've really exceeded my time, but it was such an
That's okay.
interesting conversation, and I think one of the few conversations where I've smiled throughout because, seeing the synergies that both of you have and seeing, the passion that you share for what you are doing in your agency and what you intend to do with your life. And Alap, I think this exercising is a lovely lesson that I'm taking personally away from this interaction. And in advance, wish you a very happy first anniversary, just a day
Thank you.
away.
Thank
And
you.
I hope it's going to be a huge, huge celebration and with many, many more such anniversaries to come. Thank you. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye bye.
Bye. See you again. See you again,
Yeah.
guys.
See
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.